Yes, the Vaccinator, a concept that looked very good on paper but should have stayed on that paper under a whole bunch of other papers. Though I admit, having a constant resistance to a certain type of damage is wonderful. It helps you stand your ground, making it useful for capturing. But why does it fail? And I'm not talking about the insane nerf it has gotten recently, even before every conversation about it began with "it's a good weapon, but" followed almost always by a "it's neither the medigun nor the quick fix," and that hasn't changed. Well, let me explain my views. The Vaccinator protects against one type of damage, as I said, but rarely on the battlefield are you going up against just one type of damage. There will be rockets and grenades flying towards you, bullets whizzing past, and just when you think you're safe, a pyro will shove his flamethrower so far up your bum that you would never have to cook your meals again because they'd already be heated up in your mouth. But I don't think that's the biggest issue this thing has, at least not for me. No, I think what really ruins it for me is, bizarrely, also its biggest strength: the different resistances. When you're healing someone on the battlefield and there's an enemy heavy and soldier coming towards you, you need to make these quick decisions. 1. Do I have the right resistance ready? 2. Should I select bullet or rocket resistance? 3. Is it necessary to use one of my charges? 4. If yes, do I have to use 2 different charges? 5. If yes to that, do I have enough time to select both of them? But most importantly, 6. Am I even able to do all of that in time because I only have a split second to decide? Whereas with the medigun, it would go something like this. 1. Am I healing my patient? If yes, keep healing your patient. If he's overhealed, that'll most likely be enough. If he starts to die, use Uber if available. It's just simpler. And don't forget, even with the vac, you still need to keep a distance and an eye on pyros and spies and scouts and harassment and the horseless headless horsemen and everything else at once! All of this is actually quite stressful, at least for me. I remember seriously tensing up each time I used it, and I eventually stopped using it just because it was easier to lay back, relax, and use the medigun. Furthermore, the problem with selecting the resistances is that you have 3 different choices. Fire, which you'll never ever use, but which you have to keep selecting in order to get to the other 2, bullets and rockets. Those 3 choices are actually way too complex for a simple game like TF2. Name one other weapon where you have 3 different ways of using it. Sure, you need to select different types of buildings and disguises, but those are weapons and you don't use them 24/7 and you don't need to cycle through them. Another thing, it's not really useful on pubs. Getting your patient to realize that you just made him resistant to damage is tricky, because they'll almost always rely on their instincts and bail when they're being shot at, meaning that you waste a charge. Maybe it's better in 6s or in Highlander, where there's a better team communication, but in pubs you also need to check all the time what kind of damage is incoming, meaning that you have to leave cover, which is something a medic should never do. Never ever. Unless he's invulnerable. You wouldn't see, let's say, a spy knife that, before you were even able to backstab with, you had to select the type of class your target is, otherwise a backstab would fail. I mean, weapons in TF2 only have 2 modes, primary attack and secondary attack. There are exceptions, like the Hitman's Heatmaker, where you can activate the focus with reload, or the Eureka effect, but that's about it. With the vac, however, you have healing different people, using a charge, and selecting bullet, rocket, and fire resistance. That's 5 things you have to do, 4 if you're always pocketing the same patient. I mean, if I play medic, I'm already a babysitter, I don't want to solve a Rubik's Cube at the same time. No offense, baby team. Remember Dragon Slayer or the old arcade game Tapper? It's like that. Okay, first I need to heal the scout. Then apply fire resistance to the demo man and then rocket and bullet resistance to the heavy at the same time as he's trying to take out that sentry. And then, did I give our soldier rocket resistance yet? Well, here you go. Ach, that was bullet resistance. Oh nein, now the demo has died and the scout desperately needs rocket resistance, but I don't have any charges left and does anyone else smell burning medic? Now, you might say, but it works if you're communicating with your team properly. But anything can work if your team has a good communication, even everyone going heavy. I have the analogy of fighting games. My brother and I would play a lot of Mortal Kombat against each other, and he would always try to use all kinds of different button combinations against me, while I would just spam the same attack over and over, which worked way better for me than trying out combinations as well. In this case, the Vaccinator are the combos, and me just mashing buttons is the old reliable medigun. It's just more faithful. Overall, I don't think I'll ever have a use for the Vaccinator, no matter how Valve will buff or change it. I'm not saying it's a bad weapon, it's just not my thing. If I were to change it, I'd make it so you could see the view of your patient to know what kind of hazards you'll be facing, so you don't have to leave your safe zone for it. But I think that no matter what happens, I'll just keep using my good old medigun. Thanks for watching!